no one else here that's in Bleach other than myself, I guess. And those of you that are dressed up as characters from Bleach. Yeah, so I'm Ichigo, Hollow Ichigo, and full Hollow, Screechy, whatever. And we can talk about whatever Bleach-wise, so if you have any questions, we can do that. I got a really creepy picture here.
Holy cow.
Her camera, I made like a mean face, and it, like she can make it smile on the camera. And,
is it a touch camera?
And it's, huh?
Is it a touch camera where she takes things?
No, well, she takes the picture and it like focuses on the face or something, right? And then finds the mouth and makes it smile. It's really weird. And I was like, there's no way. And so I like frowned and made a mean face. And I want to pass this around for you guys to look at. So here, look at it, just pass it on. It's really creepy. It's somewhat disturbing. I look confused. It's really kind of wild.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyhow, so let's go ahead. If you guys have Bleach questions, come to me. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to know, what was your overall feeling when you were signed on to the role of Ichigo's voice? And, like, how did you feel when you also found out that you had this hollow form as well? I'm sure you had a part in that. Like, what were your feelings about that?
Well, I auditioned for the part, and I was a little familiar with it. It wasn't, I didn't like follow it and watch it, but I was familiar with it because of because of just going to cons and stuff. Yeah. And so I'd seen like people dressed up as Ichigo or carrying, Kon or whatever, and so I was familiar with it just from that aspect. So I knew it was a big show. And so I just went into an audition, and before I got into the audition, my drummer was a big fan of it. Like, he was watching it before I even knew about it. And so he's like, oh, here, he sent me a couple episodes so I can watch it. So I watched it, and I was like, oh, I like it. The character's kind of cool, And then it's just like a street punk. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to play him kind of gruff and, just with a little attitude. So I went in and read the audition that way, and then they were like, no, can you make him friendly and happy? Can you pitch him up and, make him a little younger sounding? And I was like, okay, sure. So I made him a little happier. But they said they were afraid that maybe American audience won't like a tough kid or something, or a tough person. Which was weird anyhow, because like even when I was listening to Japanese, he's saying like he's 15 years old, and I was like, this sounds like a grown man. Yeah, it sounded like no 15-year-old, I know. And so anyhow, I kind of like took that, and I was like, okay, I made him younger, happy, or whatever. But then I had to do all the fight stuff, and I don't know how to make that young and happy, And so it came back to me, and they said, well, they really liked the Bankai stuff and all your fight stuff. Can you make it, rougher and tougher? And I was like, well, you mean like the first way I did it? And then I was like, okay. And they were like, well, not exactly like all the way that way. It was somewhere in between, so that there's a, a good meld between them, So I had to kind of find some area in between that. So it's kind of hard at first, to answer the question. I guess it was a little hard and a little confusing. The first 18 episodes, they were really on the reins, and I had to do exactly what the director or the producers said, But after there's a certain point where they're like, he's got it, he'll just let him do it or whatever. And I didn't even know about the Hollow Ichigo until I think I started watching some of the episodes. And one night I was watching, it was on YouTube, I think it was, or somewhere. And I watched the first 10 episodes, and I was like, okay, I'm waiting for they finally introduce all the characters. And then after that, I was just hooked, It's gonna have the Rukia, I watched all 60 episodes of that arc, I was like, oh yeah, all right. And I was like, okay, sweet. But in 2 days, I was up till 2 every day, just watching it, So then I, had seen some Hollow Ichigo stuff through watching it, and I thought, wow, that's cool. I wonder if I'm going to get to do that. And I never asked, it just came to the time where Hollow Ichigo appeared, and they're like, okay, so there you go, Hollow Ichigo, and they played me a reference from what the Japanese guy did, and I was like, okay, I like some of that, I kind of do a little something, and so I just did it, and they're like, yeah, we love it, so kind of went with that, I guess.
How about your voice? How did they, what kind of methods did they use to change your voice and make it sound, eerie, Hollow Ichigo does in Japanese anime?
Well, the Japanese, from what I remember listening to it, was the same voice. His pitch and everything was exactly the same as regular Ichigo, but they put a filter on it, like a coarse filter, so it was more whatever. So it sounded like he was underwater a little. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like a little.
Like the shadows in Persona.
Yeah, there's a little filter on the voice, but it's the same. You can hear it's the same Ichigo voice, you know. And I remember like thinking, like, well, maybe if I make him creepy or something, you know, and who am I, you know, do something like that. And I thought I'm going to take him higher than because regular Ichigo is just kind of my natural range, and all his fight calls are gruff, you know. They're all like, Huss! You know, that kind of stuff. Huss! You know. And then once it got better, I was more doing but then it was all really gruff Bankai kind of stuff. And Hollow Ichigo was, who am I? So I just took him like in a different direction. Because actually when he did, the Japanese guy did like fight stuff, he would do kind of weird cackling stuff. And I was like, oh, I like that stuff, you know. And so I kind of like brought that into the voice a little bit. So I just kind of went with it. So all I know is, I mean, I just did it the way, like that, and then they just threw the same filter they have on the Japanese, or the hollows, I guess. Yeah.
When you do like fighting
Do
sounds,
I have a
when
booger hanging out? Because it's tickling me, you know? And I keep scratching it like this, but then people are like, dude, he's like cocaine addict, man. So, let's talk about Bleach, guys. You guys are all Bleach right now. Sorry. Silly question. But do I have a booger?
no. When you do sounds like when you're fighting and running, how do you do that? Like when you, a lot of different voice actors do different things. Do you act the part?
That's all I do. I just go, if I'm running, it's like, or if it's faster, it's like,
Or like when you get hit and stuff? Like, so you don't just like...
some people do like, horse, you know, I just stand there and go, seriously, I feel like I have a booger hanging out.
Can you do one of your favorite? Can you do one of your favorite lines from Hollow Ichigo?
Hollow Ichigo? Oh gosh, I don't know.
Come on.
I can't think. I don't know what my favorite line would be from Hollow Ichigo.
Someone give
Do
us a line.
something.
Say something?
Yeah, just do something.
I am Zengetsu.
I don't know what I would say. Well, okay, so I gotta find like an attitude, you know, because he's.
What about when he tells
It's
Ichigo
different.
that he's Zengetsu?
Zengetsu.
Oh, I don't even remember how I read it. Yeah, exactly, right? I am Zangetsu! Something like that. It never sounds the same because I'm not in the atmosphere or anything. It just sounds like some random guy up there saying stuff. I guess it sounds like him. Yes.
Do people ever stop you on the street and just be like, oh my god, you're Ichigo?
No. They do Power Rangers. Hey, you're the dude from Power Rangers, right? It used to be a lot bigger when I was on Power Rangers and stuff, but afterwards, like, people grow up and they're just like, hey, what high school did you go to? I'm like, I didn't go to your high school, man. But no, I mean, there's been a couple times where I was like at Blockbuster and I was like, I don't know what I said. It's like, I'll take this one. It's just like, are you Vash? I was like, you got that from that?
What was the most difficult role to do as a voice actor?
The most difficult role? I don't know. Lucian Code Geass in the beginning was pretty tough.
That was a great role, though.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Renton, I think Renton in
Renton?
yeah, in Eureka.
It never even sounded like you either.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I had to pitch up so high. I was like,
Renton Thurston, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, it's like totally different. But the problem was like somebody else was doing the part before, and then like they did 13 episodes, and then he did it two ways. He did it young, and then I think they wanted him to do it older, and so they made him older. And then when the Japanese heard that, they're like, "No, that's wrong," and then they recast. They didn't give him another shot